Alright guys, welcome to the World Pokemon Federation S Division, the new division as of Season 5 Pick'ems. This season is based around, it's a no-based draft league with Nat Dex Legacy alongside the DLC league moves, so stuff like Skarmory with Body Press or Stack Attacker with Heat Crash. I have alongside me two dudes. I have the legend himself, Toxic, say hi.
Yo.
And Habaduh.
You didn't say hi.
I didn't tell you to say hi. Oh.
No, but Toxic
No, he didn't. He didn't say hi. It's very sad.
Oh, failure.
It's very depressing. Okay, so yeah, we spent time alongside Fate and worked through the team. So Toxic and I are both the champs both in S Division this season, and Habaduh was the Season 3 All of World Pokemon Federation champion, as he wound up beating just absolutely everyone and became the overall champ. Yeah, good on him. So that's who we have with us. So we'll start from the bottom with number 18, the Jersey Fitz and his Temple Noctowls. So his team.
So first of all,
do you want to? We'll go through his team. So his team consists of Mew, Mega Manectric, Tentacruel, Delmise, Ambipom, Stunfisk, Hydreigon, Swallow, Granbull, Heatran, and Heracross.
So right off the bat, I see that Mew and Hydreigon are pretty much just two powerhouses on the squad.
Yeah.
And
really strong with
a pretty
generation.
big ground weakness, though.
Absolutely. His ground weaknesses come in Mega Mane, comes in Tentacruel. He's got ground weakness in Stunfisk, which is his own ground type, as well as Heatran. And his resist is Heracross, and then he has an ability immunity in Hydreigon.
Oh, he also has a Delmise.
Yeah, he has a Delmise.
Yeah, oh sorry, you're right. Delmise also resists. The main problem with Delmise generally as a defensive grass type though is its lack of access to recovery. It doesn't have Synthesis or Leech Seed.
Agreed.
And it doesn't have a great special attack to use Giga Drain.
Does it not have Synthesis?
It might. I forget. No, it might have Synthesis, but I know it definitely doesn't have Leech Seed. But even so, Synthesis is a lower power points thing, so it means over the course of a battle it's very likely to get worn down, especially as it's forced to rapid spin multiple times. So his team is ultimately very weak to ground type. And I'm personally not a very big fan of Mega Manectric, so...
Yeah, I'm not either.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Coverage is kind of not there, plus, it hits
like,
moderately hard.
Bolt Burn is nice, right? Like, Electric Fire is good, but...
Yeah, it's okay.
It's not amazing, and HP Ice... I mean, access to HP Ice means it's not awful, but...
And I feel like it's very expensive for a fast electric type. You can get stuff like Jolteon for way cheaper.
Absolutely.
Exactly, yeah.
And Intimidate honestly doesn't help it that much, just because of its lack of access to strong moves to threaten ground types.
Yeah, and I also feel like the team has a pretty large weakness to Dark Spam, outside of Granbull and Heracross being like
Hydreigon as well.
resist.
But
Hydreigon. But that's not great.
they don't really share good resist to each other's weaknesses, right? Because Granbull's weak to Poison and Steel, which isn't resisted by Heracross or Hydreigon. Hydreigon is weak to Fairy, which Heracross is also weak to, and it's also weak to Dragon, which they also don't, which Granbull is immune to. But yeah, it's very, very tough for them to generally switch in.
Yep, pretty much. Just the main problem with this team was it pretty much gets hard carried by Mew and Hydreigon, which are really good in the meta right now. But outside of that, he didn't really build very well around him.
Yeah, he doesn't have a good spot for Heatran, but Heatran is one of my favorite Pokemon in the Draft League format, but it really needs a team that works well with it, and it just does not have that.
You have to build around Heatran to make it work. Absolutely.
Yeah. Or at the very least, you need to have more offensive team. His team is honestly fairly quite slow. Like outside of Swallow, obviously, is quite fast. Manectric is quite fast. You have Hydreigon and Mew, both 98-100, which are pretty middling speed tiers. And then you have like Tentacruel, the base 100, is technically fast, but it's not honestly that fast. But he doesn't have Trick Room. It's really just a team with very compromised speed tiers and weaknesses to two very good offensive typings, Ground and Dark.
Yep, that's pretty much it about number 18, the Jersey Fitz and the Temple Noctowls.
So, yeah, obviously he was around last season as well. The next player is a new coach introduced this season. He's from, he's a Smogon player from India. It's the Playful Panchams, coached by Spitfire. Do you want to go through his team?
So he has Gardevoir Mega or Crocodile, Uxie, Sarina, Excelgor, Rotom Fan, Zygarde 50, Gengar, Ditto, Bissimian, Registeel. And I think for most of his games, he's going to be bringing Mega Guard as like his only breaker, and that kind of forces Zygarde
Yeah,
50
yeah,
into a more defensive role
yeah.
alongside with Uxie and Sarina.
Yeah, he used to bring a lot of very defensive teams, I feel, with this build. He used to have Aegislash. So he made a lot of transactions in the free trade period, and I honestly don't think they really helped strengthen his team. So he dropped Aegislash, which was actually the first Pokemon that he had drafted, which I think was a big thing, down to Gengar. And I'm not a massive fan of Gengar. I've actually never drafted it in well over 200 draft leagues at this point. It's quite crap. It's very frail, and his team just generally doesn't like. His team forces a lot of his Pokemon, which are otherwise versatile, to being defensive, so Uxie's unable to run more offensive sets. Krookodile quite often is going to be forced to be a bulky pivot. Zygarde is going to be forced to be defensive a lot. Ditto does
Yeah,
help alleviate his weakness in terms of opposing setup, but only so much
yeah,
it
like
can do.
Registeel is often like really easy to set up on,
Yeah,
alongside with Uxie and like I don't know, Rotom Fan maybe.
I mean, I don't know. Rotom is it's a weird Pokemon, just generally. Like, like, it's got defog and stuff. It's definitely not Zapdos. It's definitely not Electric or Corio. I don't think. But yeah, so we just generally felt like, again, this was another one with fairly weak speed tiers because Excelgor is fast,
Yeah, it's very, very
but it's
fast. And it's
Excelgor.
also a very good spiker, but other than that, his speed
Yeah,
tiers fall off greatly after that.
I mean
Like,
Excelgor.
after that, he has Gengar
Yeah,
and his base 100s.
yeah, absolutely. It's a very big drop down. When we say base hundreds, we mean actually only just Gardevoir. Um, and
Yeah,
then he has like Zygarde and Uxie at 95, Crocodile at 92, I believe. Like, it's a fairly mid-heavy team, and mid-heavy is the worst place to really go heavy. Like, if you have a heavily fast team or heavily slow team, at least you can use like Trick Room for slow teams, or you can just try to keep offensive momentum on fast teams. With a very mid-heavy
yeah.
team, he's very weak to opposing speed control, which can be
Yes,
quite
mid-heavy teams are
concerning.
by far the worst.
Well, they're the easiest to take advantage of because they're weak to both Trick Room and fast momentum. Um, so yeah, that was why we went with it. But we do hope that he's able to pull together. This is actually his first draft league ever, he said, but he's quite good. Um, I believe he's on Team India for the World Cup Pokemon,
Yeah,
and
I'm sure
he's
he's
a pretty
pretty
good
good
coach.
skill-wise as a
Yeah,
player,
he's a pretty good player. We're just
Looking
not sure
forward to
about
see
his
what he can
drafting
do.
ability. Yeah. So 16 is the Mad Hatterings, coached by Queen Bee, the loser, who hopefully will not be a loser this time. But she does have a pretty weird team consisting of Mega Mawile, which is unbanned new this season, Blacephalon, Rotom Cut, Drapion, Sandaconda, Wigglytuff, Latias, Manaphy, Aerodactyl, Hariyama, and Articuno. So obviously both of us, we're both big Manaphy fans. Um,
Yes, of course.
yeah,
I
dropping
think
down.
Manaphy is actually very, very versatile and good in draft leagues
Absolutely, it's a
especially.
phenomenal one. It dropped down to Tier 1B this season, which I think both of us voted against, but you know,
Yeah.
that's just how it happens. Blacephalon dropped down to Tier 2A. I still think it's pretty mid in Tier 2A. This
I'm not a
team,
big fan of Blacephalon.
I'm
I
not a
just
big
think his
fan of it at
speed's
all.
not up there.
I don't like it in
Like,
11 Mon. I feel like it's really potent in lower Mon draft teams. So when you
yeah.
have like 8 Mon or a 9 Mon format, I think it's quite good. But in 11
Yeah,
Mon, it
with webs
just
especially.
absolutely. But
Fate recording, by the way.
what's right?
Fate just joined, by the way.
Um,
Fate just
hello.
joined in.
Fate, who's one of the other
Fate.
people, I think. He is a coach in the A division this season, but he's also helping us
Yeah.
out. So we're just talking about Queen Bee's Mad Hatterines. So
Okay.
it's got really janky speed teams. So it's got Latias as the only Trick Room setter, despite having Hariyama and more Omega as options to exploit that Trick Room. Then it's got like some really weird mid-heavy stuff.
Yeah. I also
It's
feel like the defensive
yeah.
core just isn't there for it. Like, he has Rotomo and, like,
She
maybe Latios.
yeah. So she's got
Articuno.
the supposed fairy dragons. They only have one dragon switching, which is really bad. I'm not a big fan of like the talk of course, etc. But I do think it's important to have 2 dragon switch-ins, whether that be 2 steel types, whether that be 1 steel, 1 fairy, whether that be 2 fairies. Only having one in Mawile is going to make his team very compromised defensively. There's a lot of dragon types which would be very scary for this to face him, especially with Morwell as the 1,000 arrows are just going to be very, very tough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Sandaconda is also a weird ground type. I don't really know what to feel
I
about
think
it.
Sandaconda is actually pretty underrated. It gets glare.
It
It's
does
pretty
seem...
bulky with rocks. It gets shed skin, the coil stuff if it wants to. I feel like it's pretty
Yeah.
underrated as a
It
ground
seems
type.
alright in Tier 4B. I do think it's quite valuable as a pick in Tier 4B, but I feel like electric types can pressure this team a lot if they like for like Mega Manetric, for example. We were just here talking about. It's got Snarl and Flamethrower. Flamethrower allows it to break through and cut, and Snarl lets it break Latios. And then, it's just Drapion, which is not... Sandaconda, which is not incredibly bulky. So I think this team does struggle against fast electrics a good bit. And I like Aerodactyl, but it's not a great flying resist. The flying resist on this team are Morwell and Aerodactyl, which I feel is quite
Yeah, those are
compromised.
both like not it, I don't think.
Yeah, they're not Pokemon you want taking hits as much as possible. Especially Morwell. Morwell does a lot with its HP, and it would rather be using its HP to stay in on something than to switch in on something. Yeah, so that's why we put them low down. I do think a lot of these teams are still good, and a lot of them might still perform well, but someone has to be at the bottom.
These teams are mostly all pretty viable.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has a team which is just going to like instantly lose,
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I just want to say, especially with this team, Mega Mobile was banned in previous seasons for a reason. It's incredibly powerful and very bulky, very solid mod. So next we have 15, the Michigan State Dud Spartans, which is coached by Insanity, or Winsanity as he is known. This is a really weird team.
He's got Necrozma, Grimmsnarl, Noivern, Rabombi, Vileplume, Rabu, Scizor Mega or Mega Scizor, Runerigus, Carkol, Xurkitree, and Keldeo.
So, this is just such a weird team. It's so... Like, Grimmsnarl is the defensive core of this team. Like, the team's got a good few bulky Pokemon, like Mega Scizor, like Necrozma, like Noivern variants, like Vileplume, like Carkol, but they all rely...
decently bulky too.
Well, very few of them have recovery. Necrozma has Moonlight, which is 8 power points. Scizor does have, obviously, Roost itself, which is really good. And then Vileplume also has, I think, Strength Sap this generation, which is nice.
It had it last gen too.
Oh, did it? Yeah, it did. But, like... Yeah, it's very tough for it to deal with a lot of Pokemon defensively. Like, it just doesn't switch into a lot, which is really unfortunate.
I feel like offensively, this team is very, very powerful, though.
Yeah,
like, it's got Webs, Keldeo.
Absolutely. If they manage to maintain Webs, then it's really good for this team. But if they don't manage to maintain Webs, it can be very difficult, I think, for them to deal with stuff. But Keldeo and Xurkitree...
also an incredibly versatile offensive and defensive mod. It can go like...
Yeah, for sure. Necrozma is one of the best Pokemon in Tier 1A. Like, there's just so many sets that it can do, and it can run all of them very viably. It can run physical or special, it can run fast, or it can run like a slow Trick Room variant, it can run defensive, it can run like Stealth Rock and Thunder Wave. There is a lot that it can do. It is an incredibly powerful mod, and we're definitely not going to underrate that.
Very good.
But we do feel like the team is very, very much forced to get predictions right defensively. There are so few Pokemon in this team which can function as safe switch-ins to opposing fire types.
Like Runerigus is like
mostly just comes from... Yeah, mostly just kind of wants to come from like Carkol being a Carkol and offensive Keldeo. Like Keldeo wanting to be able to run offensive sets, but being the main fire resist outside of like Carkol and Noivern, who are fairly compromised due to their secondary typing's weakness to Stealth Rock. Yeah. And obviously Scizor being a big bring for fire types. So I feel like he would have to run like Quick Attack Scizor, honestly, in a good few matchups, just to be able to get the drop on fire types coming in.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like Runerigus, Scizor, and Grimmsnarl, Noivern pretty much hold this team's defensive core up.
Yeah.
I think without those 4 mons coming...
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of...
The defense of this team is going to be way down there.
Yeah, he has to bring like a lot of similar mons to most games, and I feel like the other problem that I have with it is that it just... speed control is really weird. Like a lot of fast flying types can go in quite hard against this team because the main flying resists Xurkitree and Caracol. Xurkitree is not a particularly defensive one, though it does have some good bulk behind it. And Caracol is like a random NFE that is 4 times weaknesses, so a lot of Pokemon will have coverage to be able to hit it super effectively. And you don't want Keldeo to be your flying switch-in. I'm sorry, Xurkitree to be a flying switch-in, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
So he will have to play very offensively with this team, I think, which is unfortunate when you have such good setup threats like Necrozma and Scizor. So, 14, the Ibiza Island Infernates, which is coached by Paddy. So his team consists of Tapu Bulu, Mega Pidgeot, Slowking, Dragaugi, Stoutland, Sulk, Excadrill, Tyranitar, Chandelure, Coralganol, and Electros. So we thought this team had a lot of good Pokemon. They just kind of get in each other's way with the sand and then outside of sand. Slowking is a very nice defensive pivot. Obviously, Tyranitar, Excadrill, Stoutland, strong with sand offensive core. And then terrain with Excadrill and stuff like
yeah, high horsepower is gonna have to come every week for that.
Yeah, or Bulu just has to not come, or Bulu has to come like telepathy.
I don't, that's like an unset though.
And then having sand to wear down your own Chandelure, to break your own Sork Sturdy, to chip down Slowking.
What is decent though is Bulu Pidgeot is very good because Pidgeot can break down the grass types.
The main problem I think is going to be poison types for this team inside their own terrain.
Yeah.
Yeah. But otherwise, I think it's a very good team. But like,
also, Sandstorm with Sock makes no sense because 30, and the Sandstorm's just gonna get rid of the sturdy.
Absolutely. The Sock with sand is really weird.
So that doesn't really make much sense.
I'm not sure why he wouldn't have picked like another fire type. I believe at the time Primeape was still around.
That's on my team now.
Yeah, but you picked that up in post-draft transactions.
Oh yeah.
So he could have picked it up at the time, and I think it would have made more sense. Would have given him U-turn as well, which is nice. This team's pivots are Mega Pidgeot, Electros, and Slowking with Teleport, which is not bad. Slowking with Teleport.
Slowking with Teleport is solid.
Slowking and Slowbro have been very good supports mons for Sand forever, just because regen means that they don't have to worry about the Sand chip as much as most other defensive pivots do.
I feel like this team's removal consists of mostly spinners, rapid spinners with Cryogonal and Excadrill.
And then Pidgeot and Cryogonal, but Pidgeot, I don't know, I feel like Pidgeot's actually...
Pidgeot isn't really a defogger though.
But it can run defog in a lot of sets just because it doesn't have great coverage. So I'm
most
not
sets are like Hurricane, Heatwave, Workup, Roost, or something similar to that.
But I feel like a lot of games you can just not run Workup and run defog. It really depends what kind of outcome you're looking for in the matchup. But yeah, I do feel like they are a bit pressured by hazards, especially Spikes wearing down their Excadrill and their Tyranitar. It's a bit annoying. But yeah, no, it's certainly a scary team to deal with and try and switch into.
Yeah, it does have a lot of offensive presence with Shandy, Excadrill, Tutar, Mega Pidgeot,
Stoutland as well. Very good combinations. Yeah, so 13th
Synergy
is
not the greatest though.
Yeah, the synergy is pretty weird, a lot of the inconsistent ones. But so 13th is Pikachu, Zappy Zaps, Seattle Sharpedos. So
okay, so his team has Victini, Mandibuzz, Vaporeon, Heliolisk, Felicipod, Golard, Mega Venusaur, Metagross, Probopass, Frostmoth, and Komoro. And the thing with Komoro this gen is it has access to Klinger's Soul, so it makes it a lot more viable than it would without it, basically.
It does make it a lot more intimidating if it's a different variant.
Yeah,
it makes the special sets really good.
Team speed tiers are definitely not in.
They are.
His fastest mon is Heliolisk, which is not good at all.
Yeah, 1 or 9. We've just really good offensive synergy with this team, and he's got really
He
good.
does have a very solid team defensively, though.
Yeah, really good. Victini is quite bulky, and that's like his least bulk Pokemon. I do find it a bit annoying that he just has such issues against fast Pokemon. Because Heliolisk is his fastest Pokemon at 109, someone has like Latias or Latios, and with the right coverage, it can break through this team quite well. With the exception, I think, of Metagross. But even if you have something that's slower than Latios, if they had like a Dug Trio, to trap the Metagross and to trap the Heliolisk, then it can get swept by something that's even slower than that. And Victini is not an amazing choice Scarfer in my experience, just because V-Create drops its speed. So
It's a decent Scarfer.
it's a better
it has
revenge
really
kill
good skill.
Scarfer rather than like threatening stuff out kind of Scarfer.
Yeah, it does get revenge with V-Create very easily.
Yeah. But so it's a good team, and it's very difficult for opposing teams to break through. Mega Venusaur being weak only to Psychic and Flying, and Metagross resisting both of those is really good for it. Having Mandelbuzz as its ground switch in, as well as Frostmoth as like a special ground resist is interesting. It is a very strong team, but it could face issues trying to switch around. Trying to not get cleaned up in the late game, just due to its compromised speed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Next we have 12, the Ohio State Decky Deweys, coached by, I believe, Pablo, who was the D Division champion. Sorry, Pikachu Zappy was the B Division champion last season. So this was the D Division champion last season. Pablo, his team consists of Mega Gallade, Sizzle, Snorlax, Jellicent, Scrafty, Meganium, Arcanine, Galar Weezing, Bronzong, Sandslash, and Thundurus Incarnate form.
Okay, so right away, I see he has very, very strong offensive models. Like, his 2 tier 1s that he got with Mega Gallade and Thundurus Incarnate, they're both very, very offensive and are going to be doing most of the breaking.
Both set up offensive ones.
Yeah.
Thundurus with a decent bit of support with Prankster, and then he has like a good defensive backbone. He's got stuff like he's got Scizor for speed control with Bullet Punch and Quick Attack. He's got Jellicent, and then Arcanine, which is another very good defensive mod, as well as having pressure with extreme speed. He can even run like Trick Room variants with Bronzong to support an offensive Snorlax or Scrafty variant. But the main
I also really rate Weezing Galar because it can go. It could be a grounded poison if it wants. It could go Misty Terrain. It could go that one ability I forgot what it's called.
Neutralizing
that
gas.
negates all the abilities of the opposing Pokemon.
Yeah.
And it also has T-Spikes, and it's just a very solid typing overall.
Yeah, I don't know. Personally, I don't know. I go back and forth on what I stand on it a lot. I don't like the fact that it doesn't resist poison, which is generally a reason that I don't draft a lot of grass poison types. But Levitate's really good on a poison type, so it is quite phenomenal. And the main
Defog, unlike the other reason.
Yeah, the main concern I have with this team is, besides Meganium, there's nothing between Arcanine and Scizor, speed tier wise, and there's nothing above Thundurus Eye. So it's very weak to opposing speed control. It doesn't have webs. It doesn't have anything. So I feel like Trick Room is really the best speed control option it has, besides Thunder Wave spam.
Yeah. I think it is really, really good defensively with Scizor, Snorlax, Bronzong. This dual steel types is really good defensively.
Absolutely. I always love double steel type. Especially because, like, if Bronzong is, instead of being a Levitate variant, if it's heat-proof, that means it doesn't share any weaknesses with Scizor, which is pretty nice. And Jellicent pivots in on Scizor's, like, fire moves. Snorlax has got thick fat as well, so the team can handle fire types somewhat well. But I feel like the speed gap between Arcanine and Scizor, with only Meganium in the middle, Meganium is realistically not likely going to be running an offensive variant, so it's probably going to be quite slow. So that is a very big speed gap that a lot of teams will be able to exploit. You know, if Mamoswine comes and Mamoswine just runs Adamant for free and has a good bit of bulk because it only needs so much speed for Scizor, Jellicent, and Sandslash, that's terrifying for this team to deal with. Stuff like that. Base 80 mons are very scary for this team because of that. Yeah.
It's an overall solid team. It does have a few weaknesses though that puts it this low.
Yeah. It's really just the compromised speed tiers and how. Yeah. And also, it doesn't have great momentum outside of. I believe the momentum is just Scizor, Thundurus Incarnate with U-turn, both of them, and then Arcanine with teleport. Yeah, which is okay, but if you're not running heavy duty boots, it means you're taking a lot of stealth rock chips, similar with the Thundurus there. Yeah. Also, it doesn't have spikes, does it? No, it does. Sandslash has spikes. The removal is a bit weird as well. It's got removal on offensive mons like Scizor and Thundurus. Then it has defog as well on Weezing, and then Rapid Spin Sandslash. But with Spikes and Stealth Rock, it's really a question as to what moves Sandslash is going to be able to fit into its set if it does come. So I do think that's going to be a challenge game to game. But Pablo did really well. I actually don't think he lost a game all of last season in D Division, which is why he moved all the way up. So, let's see if he continues that streak on. Absolutely. So 11 is the A Division champion last season, the Ominous Draco of the Croatian Chronos. So the World Cup Pokemon India's GSC player. He's a really consistent player in the GSC format, and last season he only lost one match all of the season, which was to me and Toxtricity, because Toxtricity. It was definitely not to you. Yeah, he beat your ass. Yeah. So,
yeah, I lost him in semis.
Do you want to go through his team then?
Alright, yeah, okay, so he has Zeraora, Ferrothorn, Toxic Grove, Centiskorch, Sigilyph, Marowak, Tapu Fini, Tyranitar Mega or Mega Tyranitar, Kyurem, Cinccino, and Sceptile.
Yep. So this team is really weird speed tiers. Like, it goes Zeraora, and then the next good mon speed tier wise is Kyurem. So you've got like Cinccino and Sceptile, and then Sigilyph is decent, but like Cinccino is at 115, and then Sceptile at 120. But neither of them are Pokemon you want to be bringing every week.
I do feel like in Gen 8, especially, Kyurem got much more viable than
absolutely. It's a phenomenal Pokemon. There's a reason it's tier 1 now, where sometimes you'd see it in tier 3 last gen. Freeze Dry is massive, the option to run Dragon Dance variants is really nice. I think it got Superpower as well.
Boost is always a threat too. DD's a threat.
Absolutely.
is a big threat.
Any Pokemon with pressure and recovery is just instantly solid.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very difficult mon to break. It's got very good bulk as well.
Zeraora is also a very hard mon to prep for, because it can easily go special or physical.
Yeah, it can go like support, it can go... Dude, your Bandit is so strong, Specs can break through a lot, so it's really tough to know what kind of set that someone's going to be bringing. You never know if they're going to be running speed for like a fast Scarfer, or like if something's base 75 or something, if they're going to run speed for like your Scarf Dracovish or whatever, or if they're just going to run a lot of it into bulk because of how fast it is. Very tough mon, like lives a Scarf Cartado and stuff like that, a lot of stuff. Struggles to one-hit KO it. And then he's got a defensive backbone that he had last season. Last season he had Ferrothorn, Tapu Fini, and Mega Tyranitar, and he's bringing that back. Obviously it was pretty effective when he used it last season, so hopefully it does continue to be. I know
it did work out for him very well last season.
Yeah, he was a very big fan of Specs Fini as well. As well as Specs Sigilyph, which he has here. Very, very strong team. But the compromise speed tiers are a bit gross, I do find. And I'm really not sure what Centiskorch does.
Well, it's a good boost abuser. I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure what it does other than like Fire Lash spam, maybe Coil if he wants to go that route.
Yeah, I just feel like on this build, it's not a mon that can come to a lot of games. I feel like he hates defogging with his team as well. Spikes are going to wear down Ferrothorn a lot, I feel. Especially if he gets...
wear down his team in general. Spikes are really, really good against his team.
Yeah, Knock is...
Kyurem, Centiskorch.
Yeah, and Knock is really strong. Also, if Fini uses defog, it removes terrain this generation, so it can get toxic if it defogs. Yeah, I do feel like that's somewhat impactful. Pretty sick logo though, that Jolts of the Amsterdam Outfitters made up for him. That was pretty good. So next we have 10 Skyquake in the Lancaster Landers, who was the second seed going into finals last season. Sorry, I should mention that...
Got knocked out round 1 by yours truly.
That he did. He also got his ass beat by me in the last season using Core Enforcer Zygarde, the only set. Yeah, no, sorry. I meant to say he was the... Draco was... took over for a team late last season, a team that was not going to be making playoffs. Then he made playoffs, and then he won. And he only lost on season, and he beat me in the playoffs as well. But it's not really, I don't know, rematches and playoffs aren't really the same games, because you've already played each other, you already know a lot of the team.
Yeah, they are different.
It's tough to come back after having won and then win the second game as well. So Lancaster Landers, Skyquake, His team consists of the Galarian form of Darmanitan, Raikou, Talonflame, Comfey, Mudsdale, Gogoat, Mega Metacham, Aegislash, Blastoise, Komala, and Guzzlord. So
I feel like Guzzlord really pairs well with the rest of his team.
I really like Guzzlord Aegislash. I really like Guzzlord, in all honesty, in this gen. But like, unless he's dealing with like a Machamp or a Pangoro, neither of which were drafted, or a Mega Lopunny, which was, it's very tough
and
for a lot of...
Galar and Mega Metacham kind of decent.
Yeah, offensive synergy is really strong. Like, opponents are going to find it very difficult to effectively use physical walls, because Mega Metacham and Galarian Darmanitan are both capable of breaking through physical walls. Darmanitan obviously with like Icicle Crash flinches, Mega Metacham with like bulk up variants are very, very strong, and he's got Comfey, which 6-0s every team.
The main reason why I like Guzzlord with this team is because the main bonds that wall Mega Metacham are bulky psychics, and Guzzlord can take care of those pretty easy.
Yeah, for sure. I like Guzzlord so much. It's definitely, I think, the best tier 5 this season. Yeah, Kamala's good rapid spin support. He's got removal in Talonflame with Defog, Comfey with Defog, Blastoise, and Kamala with rapid spin, which is okay. His hazards are Mudsdale.
Access to Scald is very good.
He used Mudsdale very, very effectively last season. The reason I had to use Corn Force as Zygarde was to turn off his what's the ability called? Stamina, yeah. Sorry, I probably should have mentioned that. Yeah, he has Mudsdale, which he had last season. But yeah, Corn Force to kill Stamina.
Yeah, Stamina body press is ridiculous.
It's so dumb. The horse is I mean, let's just say there's a reason that all the ladies love him.
Oh my god.
Sorry, I shouldn't be allowed on the internet. I know.
That was really bad.
I'm just thinking of the like what's your type? And then Helga's like, I don't have one. But it's Mudsdale, Zeb Striker, and Rapidash.
What the fuck?
Some dumb shit. But yeah, number 9, the Chicago Bulls, as coached by Honch, the head honch.
So his team consists of Melmetal, Gliscor, Rotom, Chesnaught, Malamar, Kecleon, Latios, Gastrodon, Sylveon, Haunter, and Beedrill Mega or Mega Beedrill.
So he has some really fast threats and some really slow threats, and it's just kind of just a lot of threats defensively and offensively. Like Gliscor, Rotom Heat, Chesnaught, incredible defensive mons, Gastrodon, Sylveon as well. Yeah?
Yeah, I feel like his team has a lot of like 4 times weaknesses, like Gliscor 4 times weak to Ice, Chesnaught 4 times weak to Flying.
Yeah. Malamar to Bug.
Malamar weak to everything.
Malamar's only got 2 weaknesses, U-turn and... sorry, it's only got U-turn. Bug and Fairy.
U-turn, so.
Bug and Fairy, its only weaknesses, which is pretty interesting typing. Too bad it's weak to U-turn. And then, yeah, he does also have Gastrodon there, 4 times weak to Grass.
Yeah,
so that is... But Kecleon resists all of those types. It just doesn't switch in on them. Yeah. Yeah, so Melmetal is an incredibly offensive Pokemon, very effective. It was used by Skyquake last season to become 2nd overall seed. Just double Iron Bash, mates out damage. Very, very physically bulky. Fairly capable of taking special hits as well. So he has a good few pivots with it as well, in Gliscor, in Rotom Heat, in Baton Pass Sylveon, and in Mega Beedrill is obviously a very big pivot. I think Haunter gets Explosion as well, which is my favourite pivot move.
Oh my god.
I've been playing way too much old gen Mons recently, and watching BKC stuff keeps making me want to play old gen, and Boom is my favourite pivot move in Gen 3.
Boom.
Dude, just explode. It's all about it. Doesn't really work this gen after they nerfed Boom. But it's all good. Chesnaught is a really good spiker. Kecleon is his rocker, Gliscor is his rocker, which is okay. Mega Beedrill is his toxic spikes user. I actually think Mega Beedrill is an underrated defogger because a lot of teams switch out against it into a Pokemon with Rocky Helmet, and then you just click defog, and now it has baton pass this gen. So you just baton
Just
pass.
avoid Rocky Helmet.
Exactly, easy.
Baton pass Mega Beedrill.
Exactly. It's the
Just
best
avoid the Rocky
defogger.
Helmet. It's easy.
Easy. You can just defog on their Skarmory, and then you baton pass, and then you don't take any
Yeah.
Rocky Helmet chip. Free. Or you could just like knock it on the switch, and that's boring.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
know.
basically
It's
these mons pair well, pretty
Yeah.
well together.
yeah.
And Beedrill's an underrated support mon with like T-Spikes and Defog, as you said, Defog, yeah.
And not only that, but Latios takes all of Melmetal's weaknesses. Melmetal is weak to ground, fire, and fighting, all of which Latios is immune to ground and it resists fire and fighting, which is good, and it's a very good offensive check to a lot of those types. And he does have good checks for his team's 4 times weaknesses. Word of Heat is a very good check to the 4 times ice weakness of Gliscor, the 4 times flying weakness of Chestnut, and the 4 times grass weakness of Gastrodon, as well as those mons being able to check the weaknesses with each other. Word of Heat's very nice this generation with Habaduh to boots and with Nasty Plot. Bolt Burn as a mon there is very strong. And Sylveon is really good wish support for Melmetal as well, being able to baton pass out quite slow.
Yeah, very solid team overall. That's pretty high
Very
up.
slow, but then with like Gliscor, Latios, and Mega Beedrill and Haunter, which is okay. I think a lot of teams will have to, like, I think Mega Beedrill is going to come to enough games that every game someone's going to need something that's faster than Mega Beedrill to be able to really come out, which I think is good for this team. I think this is quite
absolutely.
a scary team. Melmetal is a very strong Pokemon. Next we have One Leo and the Mexico City Wall Breakers with, as you can see on your screen, the best logo. The actual best logo that I think I've ever seen in Pokemon. Just, it's phenomenal. I love it so much. I can't keep on. So he had a fairly unorthodox round 1 pick in Mega Aerodactyl, followed by a round 2 Celesteela. Normally you'd expect those the other way around. Mega Aerodactyl this generation getting access to Dragon Dance, moving up to Tier 1. Then the rest of his picks consist of Suicune, Roserade, Gardevoir, Piloswine, Illumise, Haxorus, Jolteon, Alolan form of Persian, and Hitmontop.
Yeah, this team has such a solid offensive/defensive core.
Absolutely.
With Mega Aerodactyl, Suicune, Roserade, and then for the defense, it's just Suicune, Celesteela. Was again like Persian Alola with
the
Parting Shot.
Yeah,
All this one.
and him on top of Intimidate's a really good pivot around. Gardevoir is quite strong. Gardevoir's Trace, enabling it to absorb like ability immunities from a lot of electric types or from a good few fire types as well, is really convenient for this team, because otherwise it is somewhat gross to switch in and, you know, Jolteon. But no, very good speed tiers.
Yeah, very, very good speed tiers with Jolteon and Mega Aerodactyl and Persian Alola.
Yeah. It is a
You
bit
got
of a
Haxorus
step
after.
down from Persian to Haxorus, which is, you know, unfortunate. Opposing base 115 mons who aren't on teams that are like have a lot of offensive fairies, don't really have to worry about Persian as much. Can be a bit scary. Speaking of generally, fairy types can be a bit scary for this team, but Celesteela is a very good fairy type check.
Yeah,
But if they
very,
have
very
ways of
good.
dealing with if they have ways of dealing with Celesteela specifically, then it can be pretty scary. Because it's really just Roserade, and Roserade can only take hits so many times, and you know, before it has to synthesis and give opponent 3 turns. But very good team, very good. I am really good. I got sniped by Suicune and Roserade from Leo. I was right next to him in draft, and then like on the wheel, like after me, it was just before the wheel. He picked Roserade immediately after I made my pick, and then the wheel happened, and then it came back to him, and he picked Suicune. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah, really good team. Really, really good logo.
Yeah, I
So-
like the team a lot.
Next we have your boy, Toxic, and the Texas Tornadus. Oh my god, he's number 7, lucky number 7. That's right, because he lucks everyone.
What?
70%.
Exactly. 70% is actually got a mascot pick this season. Did you want to break through your team?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I have Tornadus Therian, Mega Garchomp, Darmanitan, Decidueye, Palossand, Musharna, Clefable, Starmie, Bisharp, Vikavolt, and Primeape.
So this team
So
is an example
basically,
of why 18 is not enough coaches in draft. Someone getting Torn T and Clefable. It's ridiculous.
yeah, so okay, so round one, I was pick 13. They call me lucky, but Tornadus Therian dropped all the way down to pick 13, so I just went ahead and picked it up. And
Because
then
people are
round two,
grabbing.
Clefable made it all the way back to me. So I got Clefable round two, and then I just decided I wanted a really strong breaker. So I sniped everyone round three and got round three Darmanitan, and everyone
Absolutely.
got pissed off at me.
Everyone got sniped. There were legit 5 people, myself included, who were like, ah, in the chat. It
Yeah.
was great.
And
Yeah,
then Mega Garchomp's also a very good defensive mod, like
yeah,
a
very
rocker and
bulky.
stuff, and it
I
can also
really,
break.
I really like that that it is providing that defensive set in this team. I do like that you have webs with Vigavolt gets webs this generation, which I always forget, which is nice. You've got Starmie and Clefable with the teleport momentum into it after webs, which is really nice. Domanitan as well.
Yeah.
Really phenomenal webs abusers, but they are also good outside of webs.
I do have a lot of pivot on this team because last
Absolutely.
season in native, which was the top division, my team really lacked pivot, so I decided to go hard and heavy with pivot this season, see if I could do better, like more of a pivoty team.
Yeah, he was really hoping that I would win quarterfinals so that he could smash me
Oh,
in semis, but it wasn't to be. Um, yeah, Decidueye is really interesting as a ghost. Like Decidueye, Palossand, Mega Garchomp. I really like Palossand. I honestly feel like it's better than Garchomp and Decidueye. It's really, really
it's not
bulky.
true.
It's got recovery. It's got. I mean, if Garchomp had recovery, I think it would just be like broken.
Yeah, it would be broken if it had like
Oh.
It would
short
be the
up.
best one in the game.
Just
Yeah,
give
yeah,
the
it would be
shit.
so broken.
Yeah, I mean, Garchomp's already been Ubers once, but
And then
if they gave it
Starmie has
short.
access to teleport this gen, plus those analytic switching calcs. Pretty powerful.
Very. It's a Starmie. Bisharp as well for speed control. It's really nice. This team's got so many Pokemon which are anti things. He's got really good wall breakers like Darmanitan, so very good anti-stall there. And Clefable's really good anti-stall and anti-balance. Then he's got Bisharp and Tornadus Theorem, which are really good anti-offense mons. He's got Mega Garchomp, which is another balance or bulky offense breaker. Then he's got Musharna, which is really good at countering opposing Trick Room teams, alongside Palossand. It's really very tough for a lot of builds. Like, there's no team style which inherently breaks through this team, and it has a lot of ways to deal with opposing team styles, which is very strong. And Tornadus is nasty plot now, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, those nasty plot hurricanes.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're gonna hit hard.
Yeah, so now we go to our sixth coach, which is the former last season semi-finalist and first overall seed. Only lost one game in main season before losing in semi-finals, which was, unsurprisingly, most of the people who lost one game on season lost it to me. Pixelated Outrage or Karma. So Brendan has a very, very strong team. Actually, a lot of throwbacks from last season. So the team is Jirachi, Superior, Crobat, Seismitoad, Miltank, Electric, Volcarona, Zoroark, Frostlass, Girder, and Mega Altaria. Mega Altaria being his signature mon as well.
Mascot.
Mascot, that's the word. But also Jirachi and Mega Altaria being a very popular combination.
Yeah, I feel like Volcarona this gen is very strong with hidden power. Same with Superior. They're
Oh,
both
yeah.
really good hidden power abusers.
Yeah,
And the
because
fact that
this
3PF
Legacy
allowed
League
that
really
with
helps this
DLC
team out.
moves is kind of ridiculous.
I actually don't know if Superior got anything in DLC. But it's just ridiculous. Like, these mons are so strong. Girder is a really nice defogger this generation. Frostlass is
Superior
probably...
last season, I had Superior and it put in so much work. I'm pretty sure it was my kill leader. And like for 2 games, I just ran Scarf, Serp, and 6-0.
I mean, it's
like 2 games
impossible
that
to...
season.
Like, there's no team that Superior does not 6-0 unless the entire team is literally just Sap Silver mons. Like, it's
Pretty much.
really consistent. Really, well, 90% of the time, it's really consistent. Very, very strong as a Pokemon. Very capable of breaking through a lot of its checks just by overwhelming them with stat increases. Crobat's a really nice pivot and defogger. Superior's also a defogger. Jirachi's another nice pivot. Zoroark is an interesting pivot. It's pretty weird on this team because not a lot of the Pokemon are. I don't feel like there are as many Pokemon that it's good at imitating, because a lot of the Pokemon it's best at imitating are fast offensive mons that have different checks to it, so a lot of like fast fighting types. But like, I don't know if like Girder and Zoroark, like Zoroark really pretends to be Girder very effectively, because Girder doesn't fast out as many Pokemon.
I really raise Zoroark. I think it's a
know.
very, very good dark type. Just offensively in general.
I mean, I just think it's got fairly low offensive stats, but it can boost them up with setup, which is really intimidating. And its speed is decent at 105. So I do think this is a very, very strong team. There's a reason that it's in the top third. But we're almost reaching the top 5. This is, Jirachi's really good, Superior's really good, Crobat is really good, Seismitoad, I don't know, I feel it's a bit expensive, so it's tier 3A this season. I think
it's a great typing. It has a great typing, but
absolutely
its defenses are kind of down there.
It's no recovery, which
really
is sad.
great on paper.
I mean, I really love its stat spread because you
underperformed.
can make it do anything you want it to be. You can make it physical, you can make it special. I really like its stat spread. It can do anything you need it to. Like it's got just enough speed, just enough bulk that you can make it a dedicated physical wall, dedicated special wall, dedicated physical attacker, dedicated special attacker, etc. And it can do all of those somewhat competently. But I don't really know if it does them at a tier 3A level as much.
Yeah,
but I do still like it.
It's alright.
It got access
It
to
doesn't excel at
liquidation.
anything to me.
What's
Yeah.
up?
It
What's
doesn't
that?
excel at anything.
I don't know. I do quite like that it has finally got physical water staff this gen. Last gen it did not have liquidation, this gen it does, and that is a very big boon for it. Yeah, so we finally reached the top 5. So our 5th from the top coach is, oh, would you look at that, huh? It's the politically incorrect Coach me.
Tell us about your team.
So my team is Zapdos, Magnezone, Obstagoon, Whimsicott, Miss Magius, Smeargle, Deoxys Defense, Drodigan, Weezing, Donphan, and Mega Blastoise, the new Pokemon for me to ever draft ever. Also, I never drafted Obstagoon before either. Zapdos has Hurricane now, which is really cool. Magnezone has Body Press, which is really cool, because it's got a really good physical defense stat. These two Pokemon share absolutely zero weaknesses. Magnezone is one of very few Pokemon that can boast that it is a perfect Volt Beam switch-in, resists both electric and ice. It can't unthaw itself if it gets frozen though, sadly, but it is immune to paralysis. Obstagoon is a really interesting pivot, as well as Zapdos and Magnezone, obviously good Volt Switch pivots, and Zapdos with U-turn.
I'm also a
Obstagoon,
big fan of Donphan. It's a very
yeah,
powerful
Donphan
ground
is
type
phenomenal.
and breaker.
I honestly think that all the Pokemon on this team that aren't named Smeargle or Deoxys Defense are good. Smeargle is a tier 5 Pokemon. It's probably not going to come very often. It's just tier 5. It gives the team access to sticky webs if they need it. I do feel like this team is overly pressured to bring Miss Magius for its base 105 speed tier, which is a bit unfortunate, but it is very strong otherwise. Outside that, Zapdos is so offensively threatening as a defensive mon. Mega Blastoise is very bulky, as well as being able to be quite threatening, as well as being able to rapid spin, double rapid spin between Donphan and Mega Blastoise, who can both threaten any ghost types that come in to spin block. Is really convenient. And I'm really interested to use Obstagoon as well. I do think this is.
I'm
really
excited to
decent.
see how you use the Deoxys Defense. Very versatile mod. It can like semi-go offense. Very good with support,
Yeah.
spikes, teleport.
Yeah, I mean it's
reliable
got
recovery.
the nasty plot set up to be like especially offensive mod. It's got 9 base speed, which is pretty good, and it's got quite good defenses, though not very high HP. But that does mean that it can't be taken advantage of by Pain Split users. And rocks and spikes are really convenient. And I like Drodigan as well.
Yeah,
Drodigan is another really good rocker on this team. I think the main good way that I deal with the speed tier issues on this team is that Zapdos, Magnezone, and Deoxys Defense all have Thunder Wave, but Drodigan also has Glare, and Miss Magius has Thunder Wave.
Yeah, very
So-
good speed control.
Yeah, absolutely. What were your thoughts on my team?
Well, basically, I see you have dual electric type with those Magnus. I think your team is a little bit like I feel like offensive mons can kind of set up on your team easier than they can others.
Yeah,
For example, the Oxus, if you're not running like taunt or something,
yeah, yeah.
most mons can set up on things like Whimsicott, Weezing, Jardigan, Smeargle, Smeargle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just kind of passive in some
Mm-hmm.
senses.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't think I've ever managed to run a passive Drodigan just because I like running the sheer force variant so much. But certainly a lot of the other ones can be. Just defense is something where you really need to make sure that you bring the right moves. But its access to recover is really nice. Unlike a lot of other unlike a few other bulky psychics, it does have a good 16 PP recovery move, and it has the coverage to be able to stop things from setting up as well as the fast-ish taunt. So I'm not as worried about that, but it is definitely a concern that a lot of the other teams higher than me don't have. So we get to the fourth coach, which is the Dracovish Clowns, coached by Jeremy.
Coached by Mr. Jeremy. All right,
Mr.
so
Jeremy.
he has Tapu Koko, Reuniclus, Swampert, Klefki, Sneasel, Dodrio, Mega Charizard X, Diggersby, Copperajah, Meloetta, and Gorgeist.
What the hell is a
So this
Copperajah?
team has pretty much the best electric type in the format, in my
Definitely one
opinion
of the
now, because it
best.
has
Very
access to
strong.
play rough and close combat.
Yeah,
It's very
absolutely.
fast.
Very nice boot. Very
Zard
nice
X is
boss
pretty
for this
powerful
format.
too. It's gonna be his main breaker every week. It's decent defensively too.
Which one, sorry?
Zard X.
Oh yeah, Zydex. Okay, sorry, I thought you said Swampert, and I was like, what?
No, I said Zard X.
But no, yeah, and then Coco and Digsby are also really nice options for breakers, and I presume Caparage can as well. Dodrio with Sword Stance variants. It is very tough, I think, for a lot of people to be able to switch around his team because of how much coverage it is. Like, he can punish people who are relying on prediction very effectively with setting up on turns that they switch out, which is really convenient.
Yeah, his defensive core with Swampert, Gourgeist, pretty much, and Klefki, and like maybe Copperajah is pretty solid.
Yeah. If he gets spikes up with like Klefki or offensively with Diggersby, Zardex is just going to go in. Coco is just going to go in. Offensive Meloettas can go in as well. Or like a Scar Swampert to clean up late game. Sneasel. It's really strong. The Pursuit being legal in this league is nice as well because psychic types who are kind of bulky can be a bit gross, but Zardex, for Zardex, because it doesn't resist psychic, even though it resists like basically every other type. But Sneasel can trap that as well as throwing out ground types as well. It's a really synergistic team, really, really strong.
Yeah, I really like that team.
Absolutely. It would with like the top 5 teams, it was really tough to figure out which one's going to go in which place because they're all so strong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think the concern that we did have was that it's maybe a bit weak to ground spam. But Gourgeist, it just means that he has to bring Gourgeist a lot. Being reliant on Gourgeist is a bit unfortunate as it is lower tier mon. But this generation, it's got some pretty good coverage options now. I think there's like fire coverage now and crap, so it's definitely not passive by any means. Yeah, so number 3 is Yult with his Amsterdam Amfrus, with his lovely new logo that you guys all get to see. He did take the booth, Gieres, and the windmill right there. Fabio, so his team consists of Dragapult, Florhis, Alamomola, Galvantula, Espeon, Archaeops, Mega Aggron, Rillaboom, Cinderace, Claydol, and Ordino, and we really like the Momentum core, Habaduh, who was having mentioned, because Ordino and Alamomola both have regen. It's a really nice defensive core. Double Wish as well, Triple Wish on his team.
I really like his speed tiers with Dragapult and Cinderace. Galvantula's pretty good too with web support for. I'm not really sure what web support on his team though, other than maybe Rillaboom.
It stops Scarfords, I guess.
Yeah.
It helps Dragapult not lose to Zeraora. I don't know.
And Mega Aggron, Alomola, and Audino pretty much hold up the defense of this team, the defensive core of this team, backbone, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Having 3 Wishmons between Florges, Alomola, and Ordino, with defensive mons like Mega Aggron and Claydol, who otherwise struggle by not having access to recovery, is really nice, as well as the grassy terrain from the Rillaboom there.
Yeah.
And Claydol's not support
I
now,
really
doesn't
rate
it?
Dragapult Florges too.
I don't know. I don't think I'll ever really rate Dragapult. Dragapult's alright. Florges is a really good defensive one. Espeon's also really convenient for this team for the bounce, because otherwise Florius doesn't always like having to run defog. Archaeops is not the greatest defogger. And then Claydol, you don't want to have to bring every game to remove. So having that option is really good.
I feel like Dragapult, the reason why it's so good is because it's so versatile. You can go Scarf, Specs, Physical with DD, you can go those Sub, Will-O-Wisp, Disable Sets, Hex. You can go so many different things with it that just make it very, very hard to prep for.
Absolutely. Very, very versatile poke. Good bulk, good offenses, and very decent speed. Webs is convenient. It means that you really don't have to run the Scarf variant as much. It has a lot of opposing speed set up, like the Dragon Dances or Rock Polishes or Autotomizers. Not really sure if he's going to be clicking that often. I don't know if I would have necessarily taken Galvantula on this team. But this is a very strong team offensively and defensively.
Absolutely.
I do feel like the only real issue it could have is if Dragapult gets pursuit trapped, then dealing with something like a Zygarde, like a ground type that's not affected as much by grassy terrain, could be a bit annoying. But otherwise, it's definitely a really strong team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 2 is the Texas Magnemites, coached by Techno. Did you want to break down his team?
Yeah. Okay, so he has Lopunny Mega Orb, Mega Lopunny, which is pretty much the strongest tier 1 in my opinion.
Yeah.
Has access to close combat and U-turn.
Absolutely.
He has Rotom Wash, Salazzle, Slurpuff, Morpeko, Dusclops, Corviknight, Mamoswine, Celebi, Goodra, and Mawile.
So many of these Pokemon are capable of just breaking through any team. Rotom Wash is incredibly strong and versatile. Lopunny Mega is ridiculous. Salazzle can toxic anything that doesn't have immunity. Corviknight is such a honestly good defensive mon.
It's crazy good. Bulk Up, Corviknight can literally come to any matchup.
Iron Defense.
I've seen Bulk Up
so
Corviknight 1v1 to Zeraora and win before.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mamoswine as well is a ridiculously strong offensive poke. The Celebi is really nice and versatile. It does feel a little bit U-turn weak. The team generally feels kind of U-turn weak, and maybe a bit weak to knock. But it's really good. I'm not sure what more.
I feel like Mega Lopunny, Rotom Wash, and Corviknight paired with Mamoswine is just way too solid to put it any lower than number 2 or 1.
Yeah, it was a very big question as to which was coming first place or second place in this, because they're just such good pokes.
Yeah, we had a bit of a debate over it. I mean, I was more of on the side that Techno should be number 1.
Yeah, but I don't know. He got overruled by fate agreement with me. It was incredibly close. So then we come to numero uno. This is actually a newcomer. Sorry, Techno won C-Div last season, I believe. So this is a numero uno. Photon Nails, Nevada Necrozmas. His team consists of Mega Diancie, Greninja, Empoleon, Blaziken, Licky, Muck, Garchomp, Tangrowth, Rotom, Mr. Rhyme, and Mesprit. So this team is really strong. Mega Diancie has access to Play Rough now, which makes it a viable physical mon. With Diamond Storm defense boosts, it can run Body Press. It already has base 100 defense, so it's not even that bad without the boost. It has so many options now. Then he has Greninja as a pivot, Blaziken as a pivot, but they were also very offensive. Licky with Wish support, Tangrowth as a defensive pivot, and then Rotom and Mesprit again as pivots, and then it has a Garchomp as well on top of all of that.
Yeah, Greninja, Garchomp, Tangrowth paired with a Mega Diancie is just too solid of a core.
Yeah,
so,
and
like,
then,
it's way too solid.
And has Empoleon as well, and then he has like Blaziken, which just U-turn and close combat for Blaziken are so big, because it doesn't have to rely on high jump kick, and it can pivot around as well. It's a lot like Mega Lopunny. Obviously not as scary as Mega Lopunny, but very, very convenient. It means that, it can actually close combat and not die when a ghost comes in.
Yeah, Mesprit is just a solid support mon. It can pivot, it can knock, it can go offensive, Calm Mind.
It can set up hazards, it can T-Wave. There's so much it can do. Yeah. Very good mon. Healing Wish as well. And then Tang is just such a good blanket defensive mon for this team. And he just pivots into Tang's
especially
weaknesses.
good with hidden powers allowed.
Yeah. And then for fire types who are trying to threaten Tang, Garchomp and Mega Diancie are really good. Flying types and Mega Diancie, getting Mega Diancie turns is so tough for a team. Then ice types, you can go on Empoleon. Empoleon is doesn't share any weaknesses with Tangrowth, and its weaknesses to electric and ground Tangrowth covers. So that's a really
I feel
good
like he has a
defensive
bit of
pairing.
a fighting weakness, but I think his
Yeah, it
defensive
really-
mons should be able to make a.
It really does question how often Rotom comes, or Mesprit comes, to
Yeah.
be able to help answer that fighting weakness, or Mach even, I guess. I do feel like, obviously Toxic Spikes are a bit scary against someone whose poison type is Mach, and I do mean Cantonian. But no, this is a really, really strong team. Incredibly good speed tiers, incredibly powerful pokes, and just such good pivots as well. I think we'll really see a lot coming out from him. He's been a really good coach in other leagues that I've seen him in years and always performed, but when he has a team that he's comfortable with, he's done really well.
I'm excited to see if he's able to bring this team to its true potential and smash
Absolutely.
the competition.
Absolutely. So that was our top 18 as post the free transaction period, which is good because some of these people really gutted their teams in the free transaction
Yeah.
period. Some of them moved up, some of them
Like
moved
Patty,
down.
Patty completely redid his team.
Absolutely. And I think Patty's team did alright from that. I think some people made transactions that didn't help their teams. I thought Skyquake's team improved a whole lot from
Yeah,
his
by
picking
picking
up
up
Aegislash. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's so that was the power rankings for the week 0 breakdown. Thank you to Toxic and Powder and Fate who just kind of stayed around. Say goodbye.
Well, I joined in the middle, dude. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, and have a left in the middle as well. Say goodbye.
See you.
Same.
Catch y'all.
And
Looking
follow
forward
my
to
draft
this
breakdown soon.
powerhouse of the season.
Absolutely. S div, first div, Goodbye.